Full stop. So you can't tell me because it's in the particulars of claim, I must accept it. There is still, and I'm keeping on, and I'll keep on saying this. There is an obligation when you place an issue as a fact before court. You must be able to prove that fact.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. When you, I'm not going to say anything more, anything less.
Yes.
When you place a statement before court, you must be able to prove that fact. Not refer me to somebody else, unless you say somebody else will come and testify to.
As the court pleases, I think it's guidance as well.
Thank you, Mr. Amupanda. Can I now take you to, we've done with paragraph 16.
Yeah, as I'm saying, that
page 16.
I'm a bit confused now. So the other question that I was answering is abandoned now, or what must I do?
Yes, I'm not abandoning anything. You've answered, or tried to answer rather. What question was it?
With regards to...
No, what question was it?
You were asking the question with regards to what appears on the first paragraph of page 136.
What was the question?
You are asking what law?
Yes.
And then I was taking you to the particulars of claim, and I was pointing you to paragraph 18.
Yes, and paragraph 18 does not state any law.
That's not my version. That's also not what I said. I was answering before what happened had happened. But if it's not, we can proceed.
Yes, so I put to you, we can read paragraph 18 to the court, and then you tell us how it helps you. Read it aloud.
In 1806, when the rinderpest disease broke out in Eastern Africa and started spreading towards Southern Africa, the German colonial state moved fast to protect the livestock in the areas farmed and inhabited by European settlers in the then German Southwest Africa. As is typical characteristics of imperialist and settler colonizers, they were not concerned with the livestock of Africans. In seeking and implementing the self-help strategy, the authorities hastily erected a cordon between November 1896 and February 1897 to limit the movement of animals, thereby protecting European herd. This cordon was manned by German troops across several military outposts. You ask, how does it help? It helps because it establishes what I have read and what I've established historically, that the establishment of the red line as pleaded in that first paragraph was because of those historical circumstances. There wasn't any law. No one has pointed me to any law that created it. And you have, today, you have not pointed me to a specific language that says it's erected.
Now, the word cordon that you use in that particulars of claim, what is that? A physical fence or a imaginary line?
Cordon is a physical fence.
Seriously?
If are you asking it in terms of the English language? Well, I'm not an English person. I'm not expert in English. When you say you are cordoning of the area, are you doing it imaginary or are you doing it physically?
I'm asking, what did you mean with the use cordon there? Did you mean fence? Physical fence?
Yes.
Oh, so when you speak about, when you use the word cordon, you actually mean fence?
What I'm talking about in paragraph 18 is what has happened and what has been established by historians who have done research and made those specific determinations.
And if you use the word fence, what must we understand?
A fence is a fence.
Oh, but a cordon is also a fence.
The utilization of the word cordon in that context is not used in general terms. It's used in terms of paragraph 18 that I'm referring you to. What has happened? In fact, this cordon was manned by German troops across several military outposts. That's what I'm talking about. Were the German troops manning an imaginary thing? Absolutely not. Was Lintequest and building an imaginary fence? Absolutely not. So now, the cordon that I'm talking about is in terms of that specific paragraph.
Now, the cordon which you refer to, point us on the line, on the map, where that cordon was.
We have already established yesterday that I don't recognize that 11 Berlin map. There have been many other maps. I'm not in position to do that. I'm also not a cartographer.
Yes. Well, you see, the court can only assist according to the evidence. So I just want to get clarity. So if you say in your prayer 1 on page 136 of Exhibit C that no law existed for the cordon fence to be erected, are you referring to 1896?
Yes, we have canvassed that is when they was erected.
So not any other law, not in 1960 or anything else, 1896, you say there was no law.
My case is that the veterinary cordon fence, the red line, which the Minister of Agriculture in his witness statement...
You've said that thingy all over again, you don't have to repeat
just trying to make sure that you are prepared. So that fence, it is our case, it is my case, that it was erected in 1896.
Okay.
And it was not erected in terms of any law. That is our case.
I see.
None of the defendants produced any law that says in 1896 there was some proclamation by the Germans that established and indicated clearly that the red line is therefore or is going to be established. Ludwig and I'm even forgetting his name now. And the deputy governor went out there, spent time erecting that specific fence. So that's our case.
But I've referred you... Sorry.
Just hold on before you. Just hold on. Sorry, you can proceed.
I've referred you yesterday to our paragraph 7 of the plea where we refer to the proclamation of 1990 where the zone...
You refer to page?
My lord, that is our plea on page 36. It's a trial bundle, not this bundle which I've handed as Exhibit C. So it's on your lordship's e-justice. Your lordship with me?
You say the plea.
Yes, and that is in the...
It's a plea dated?
My lord, it's at page 37 and the plea is dated 20 May 2022.
Page 36 of the...
Bundle, my lord.
The trial bundle.
Of the pleadings bundle. Okay. Trial bundle. And the court bundle and the trial bundle runs the same numbers and same pages for the first...
Okay, you said page 36.
Yes, my lord.
At paragraph?
7.1.
Okay. I'm there.
Look, we couldn't do, we've pleaded to you and pointed out to you that the police zone as referred to in Namibian's legislation was enforced under German occupation and is described in the Prohibited Areas Proclamation 15 of 1990, where it refers and incorporates that map behind you.
So
that map, sir, is legislation in Namibia.
You indicated that this map came from Germany.
Yes.
It's a Berlin map. You can triangulate this over and over again. I still maintain that if it is our case that the red line was erected in 1896, if it's the ovation, it's not what?
It's not your case, but continue.
Well, it is my case. I don't know whether you know my case better than myself.
Yeah, I know
So
your
my
case well because there is no allegation. Let me answer you. Show me a
I'm
particular
not the one who
claim where
asked
you say
questions.
the line was erected in 1896. Show me that. A physical fence was erected in 1896. Show me that allegation.
You want me to show you?
Yes.
Okay. In paragraph 18. In 1896, when the rinderpest disease broke out in Eastern Africa and started spreading towards Southern Africa, the German colonial state moved fast to protect the livestock in the areas farmed and inhabited by European settlers in the then German Southwest Africa. As is typical characteristic of imperialists and settler colonizers, they were not concerned with the livestock of the African. In seeking and implementing a self-help strategy, the authorities hastily erected a cordon between November 1896 and February 1897. That is my case.
So that cordon we must understand as a physical fence.
It has always been our case, and we have canvassed these grounds yesterday when I indicated to you that in that particular year, people went to physically erect a fence, as I understand
That's what your
historically.
case is, you say. And how long was that fence?
How long was
the fence?
What I can't say for sure now in terms of what it was.
But how long? But you know there was a fence, you say. How long is it? Was it a meter?
A meter where there were 16 military outposts, according. So I'm now trying to be very careful now, since I must not use my historical knowledge.
Do you know how long was the fence?
Allow me to finish. There were 16 military outposts manned by German troops.
Yes.
And in between those military outposts, they were spaced within, if I recall correctly from historical record, between 30 and 50 kilometers in between. So 16 military outposts during that time of 1896. I have already explained to you that over the years, and I use an analogy of an old Katutura house.
Yeah, you've used that analogy.
Where Raymond Heathcote, as an analogy, built a double story. So, in other words, with the passage of time, certain changes there's been changes to those to the specific fence until the stage where now we are talking about 1,250 kilometers. So you are asking where I have said. You have alerted the court that I've never said anywhere that the cordon has been erected in 1896. So I pointed it out to you. That was your specific question.
You now say when you use the word cordon, we must understand it as fence. Where you use the word fence, particularly in the particulars of claim, when you want to use the word fence. Anyway, how high was the fence that you're talking about?
How was what?
How high was the fence?
So the fence that has been built
in 1896.
Yes.
The one you're talking about, which I say did not exist. How high was it in your imagination?
When the Germans and the British met in Botswana, according to historical records, they agreed. I'm not answering how you want.
They agreed on the height of the fence?
Yes, that it must be 2 meters. It is established, again, if I must, there is a book on the history of the Red Line. And this book, minister who's a party to this, wrote a foreword to this book. And he indicated that this book, which unfortunately is not historical facts as we are told, that the minister says that the most comprehensive historic record of one of the pivotal tools of division in colonial Namibia.
Yes.
According to this book, which is available, I can make it available to you. According to this book, which the minister endorses in terms of what it says, it speaks about those Freiburg resolutions. And one of those resolutions answers your question, that is 2 meters.
Oh, I see. The Freiburg resolution.
Yes.
Where's Freiburg?
Freiburg Conference in Bechuanaland. Current day
not
Botswana.
Freiburg, Germany.
Obviously not.
Where's Freiburg in Botswana?
Freiburg. I'm not talking about Botswana, I'm saying Bechuanaland.
Oh, where's Vryburg and Botswana land?
It is, during the colonial period, there was such a place called Vryburg.
You say so. Is that just not your imagination as well?
Oh, I'm pointing you to historical record of the book.
Okay. Now, go back to Exhibit C, please,
Yes.
and go to, let's go to page 77. Of Exhibit C, my lord.
Yeah, is it at the top or at the bottom?
77 at the foot, right.
Okay.
You see that objection that was against one of your other tries of a particulars of claim. You see the first ground there.
I see.
Yes.
Yes.
We say that in paragraph 2, the police zone or German red line has been described in the prohibited areas proclamation, and we continue. Paragraph 3 says, the veterinary cordon fence as currently in existence is marked purple in Annexer MB1 Year 2. And that purple one is the one which I've showed you yesterday, which you don't want to accept because it's a German map. But in paragraph 4, we said, the plaintiff assumes in his attended amended particulars of claim that the veterinary cordon fence and the police zone or German and colonial red line are the exact same lines, which they are not. So we made the objection, then you amend the particulars.
I have established and I've indicated over and over again.
And then the last...
Can I finish? I've indicated over and over again that the red line has been erected in 1896, and over time, different purposes have been assigned on that red line. One is veterinary purposes, one is military purposes. When after the genocide, the Germans again gave a decree indicating the areas that where the German control and protection must be in terms of that specific police zone. The police zone was treated again by the South Africans. So, but for all intent and purposes, different concepts were applied on the red line. The police zone was applied on the red line. The borders of a police zone in the northern part was applied on the red line. When we are talking about the veterinary cordon fence, as it was eventually implemented both by Germans and South Africans, and over time, and in the current regime, when it inherited, it used exactly that border of the red line. That has always been our case.
I know that's always been your case, and it's always been wrong. My point to you is today the physical fence is used as a veterinary cordon fence.
Yes, it's common cause.
Yes, not by the Germans, by the Namibian government constituted in terms of our constitution.
But we have explained, and you see in our particulars of claim, we indicate very well. We don't say it doesn't exist. We don't say it's not used. Those are facts that has been established even in the pre-trial order. We go to a great length to explain and identify in our claims. So when we are saying that it is unconstitutional, what do we mean that is unconstitutional? For what purposes?
You know,
so we also explained that our case, and I explained this yesterday, our case is not just about the meat. It is also about what it means in terms of the rights of people. That there's an attempt to somehow apply some sort of opportunity cost type of...
Yes, I hear what you say. Are you done?
No, I'm not done.
Continue. You can repeat all those things, or you can use the actual words of yesterday, or you can just say ditto. Then we move on quicker or something.
What you're not going
but
to...
if you want to say it over, I'll give you opportunity. Continue.
I will answer your question, but you're not going to tell me how I must answer your questions.
Well,
ditto, I don't even know what ditto is. Why would I adopt a concept and a word that I don't know? What is even ditto?
Okay.
So anybody else, maybe some of your witnesses can come and say, use the word dittos. I will answer your question as you're asking them, as I understand them.
Say I use the same words as yesterday, or you can repeat it.
It will not happen. I will not answer the way you want. I will answer your question as I understand
repeat
them.
it then. What is it that you want to repeat that you said yesterday?
No, I've already canvassed those grounds.
But is there nothing you want now to repeat again, which you said yesterday?
No, I'm answering your questions.
I'm asking you, is there something which you want to, as we speak now, because I'm going to move on, is there something you want to emphasize? Or is there something you want this court to hear again? And for me, you say for me to get prepared, tell me what you said yesterday. Please repeat it.
Oh,
is there anything you exactly want to repeat?
Okay. We were canvassing this grounds that the case is not just about animals and meat, right? That's also what I've said yesterday.
Yes,
perhaps,
you can repeat it
yes,
again if you
perhaps
want
to
to.
clarify, since you are insisting that I must do
No,
that.
I'm giving you opportunity. I'm not insisting.
Okay. I have indicated that it's not just about the meat. This is a tool that is used for division. There have been case law.
Let me understand. You say this is a tool.
A tool, yes.
What is it that is a tool? The cordon fence.
Yes.
Okay. The cordon fence is a tool used by whom?
By the regime.
By the Namibian government.
Yes.
Okay.
The minister in this forward also.
No. I said to you, I'm asking you. I'm not asking you what the minister may come or may not come, and I'll ask him. I'm asking you. The veterinary cordon fence is a tool that is used.
My lord, the veterinary cordon fence exists the way it is exists. By saying the tool is a description.
No, I need to make a finding, Tate
Yes.
Amupanda. I need to make findings,
So,
either accepting what you are saying or rejecting it.
Yes.
And the beauty of my job is, whenever I make a finding, I must justify that finding. Whenever I make a finding, I need to government of the Republic of Namibia uses the veterinary cordon fence to deny Namibian people their right to dignity. That's all I want to understand.
Yes, it's used as a tool.
May I ask your lordship's indulgence? I want to explain to your lordship the purpose of my next 10 minutes or so of cross-examination. But I ask that the witness just be excused. Otherwise, it will lose its whole emphasis. You can
You can go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your questions without explaining to me. Go ahead. Let's move.
So is there anything
Yes.
which you want to, you've said it yesterday, if you want to, I'm not asking that you should. In fact, it irritates me if you do, but I want to ask you, is there anything you want to repeat now which you said yesterday?
Yes, that's what I was doing.
Okay.
Do you want to repeat what you said yesterday?
No, he said, is there anything that I want to repeat and add? That's what
No, I didn't say add.
I'm asking, do you want to repeat what you said yesterday?
I want only to emphasize.
Okay, no, you don't need to.
Okay.
Proceed.
So can we then accept that what you've said yesterday we've heard, and give us some intellectual praise or capacity that we understood, okay? Can we then move on?
What is intellectual capacity?
Capacity
So
that
that I
we
can
understood
understand.
what you said, and that you don't have to repeat it over and over. We can understand, and I'm
Mr.
sure
Head
that...
Court, can I say something?
Yes, Madam.
I would really appreciate it if you also just simply straight go ask a question, because otherwise we'll be in this court for the next 6 months.
My lord, this is exactly what I wanted to explain to your lordship.
No,
in his absence.
just go straight to a question, ask the question. Otherwise we'll be in this court for the next 6 months.
My lord, then I'll tell your lordship in his presence. So I, for myself, have never mastered the art of cross-examining a political witness. And I have really cracked my brain. And what I saw last night in one very, very old book, because I became desperate, and he said, a very experienced litigator, says, ask the witness whether he wants to repeat what he said previously. Ask him 5 times. And then say, another time and another time, but please explain to the judge beforehand, otherwise the judge will get irritated with you. So, my lord, that's what I wanted to do. I'll move on. So, the VCF's...
My lord, I'm a political witness.
That was addressed to me, not to you.
Okay.
The VCF's... You are a politician.
Mr. Heathcote, I've answered the witness.
Yes.
Proceed.
The VCF or the cordon fence serves no purpose, you say, today. No valuable purpose.
Well, the veterinary cordon fence, in its current manifestation, protects the few at the expense of the majority.
Is that, according to you, its only purpose?
Well, it serves the few at the expense of the many.
Is that the purpose, according to you?
The purpose of the veterinary cordon fence is to prevent the movement of animals.
How well done,
And-
Mr. Amupanda.
Can I finish?
Yes?
Yes. If you have regards to the documents that are before court, we have a witness statement by Miss Shilongo. She's a...
Dr. Amupanda, I don't know whether you are legal practitioners did canvass this with you. You see, a witness statement remains what it is. It's a statement by a witness. And until it's read into the record, it's useless and it cannot be used. So I haven't had Mrs. Shilongo coming to court, so I cannot allow you to read. What if she doesn't come? What if Mrs. Shilongo doesn't come to court? What do I do with what you are telling me?
Okay, my lord, it's fine.
So, you said now, at least, that it is to prevent the movement of animals. But you must also...
Sorry, Mr.
Sorry, my
Heathcote.
lord.
Just, are there any instructions that you are getting?
No, it's okay, just to say the witness must finish the previous answer, even if it's not referred to Ms. Shilongo. Because Mr. Heathcote is moving on to the next question.
Yeah, because the witness said, then I leave it.
The Ms. Shilongo, yes.
No, you see, when I said the witness, remember the witness was on a question.
Yes.
And he wanted to answer the question with reference to Mr. Shilongo or Mrs. Shilongo.
Shilongo, yes.
And then I explained he can't use Shilongo's statement. And then he said, then I leave it. Yes.
Yes,
Shilongo.
Yeah.
Don't speak on behalf of the witness, let him speak.
Correct, madam.
Yeah.
So, you've at least identified one purpose. But the reason for preventing or controlling the movement of animals, you must know, government says it is to control foot and mouth disease.
So
Whether you agree with it or not is not the question. You know that is what government says the purpose of the fence is.
So the veterinary cordon fence have been erected before Namibia's independence and it's been retained. We have all agreed as parties to this. Our case is that the continuity in a manner and form of the veterinary cordon fence that protects the few at the expense of the many, it is unconstitutional.
Yes, I know that's what you said
It
yesterday.
is discriminatory.
That's what you said yesterday, but I'm now asking you, not what you say, what you know government says. And I'm saying to you, government says that, and you must know that, government says that the sole purpose of the line is to control foot and mouth disease from the north to the south.
Yes, it's common cause.
Yes. Now, let us look at the chronology of what happened as far as outbreak is concerned. Do you know or don't you know? If you don't know, then say so. If you know, confirm it, please. That will be the evidence on behalf of the defendants. Between 1961 and 1964, the biggest outbreak of animal disease ever in Namibia has occurred. it was in the Eastern Windhoek district.
Just for my notes, my learned colleague said the defendant is coming to say that. I just want to know which witness of the defendant is coming to say that.
On the Vaart, yes?
Did I know Van der Vaart? Of course I don't.
You
No,
don't
no,
know,
the
Mr.
question is not that whether you know. Van der Vaart will come and state that in the history of Namibia.
Okay.
Yes? Do you know that or not? Can you not confirm it or can you?
I don't know whether Van der Vaart is coming to say that.
Okay. Now,
sure.
since 1964, all the defendants' cases actually, that there was no foot and mouth, since 1964, there was no foot and mouth disease or outbreak south of the veterinary cordon fence as it exists today.
Well, my case is not based on narrow veterinary interpretation. My case is based on rights that cannot be postponed.
Yes.
What the court must be very careful about, and what is going to happen in the invitation from the defendant, is to use a business model of what is called opportunity cost. So in other words, you ask, if I take this decision, which is the removal of the veterinary cordon fence, what are the losses and gains? So park the rights for now. So what is going to happen, and it's a very dangerous invitation to introduce on our fundamental rights a business principles of opportunity cost. So this, you must understand, and I can see that it appears to be the case of a defendant, to say, oh no, this is what's going to happen. 33,000 people are going to lose their jobs. Okay, 60,000 people lost their jobs in 2016 in the country, but this one is special. They can't lose their jobs. This is the millions that we are going to lose. The rights of people cannot be postponed. And it's a very dangerous submission that is in the invitation that is made to court, that court, the Europeans are going to run away. Suspend these rights because they are this financial and capitalist consideration. So that's why I'm saying my case is not necessarily whether there was this or whether there was that. I'm coming to court to vindicate the rights. And I hope this helps you in understanding what is the crux of the matter. Well, you can reproduce all the figures, true or not true, but that's not my case. My case is to vindicate the rights.
So that helps me a lot. So you say whatever I say to you and whatever the defendant's case is, true or not true those facts, you don't care.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain
What do you mean by true or not true?
I'm trying to explain the fundamental flaws in that approach of the defendant case. The fundamental flaws is because it seeks to introduce in our fundamental right regime, the principles of opportunity cost. The very idea of European, the very idea of saying, no, between this period there wasn't a foot and mouth disease in the South from 1960s and all those things. That's why it's a free zone. Okay, so therefore it must continue like that. But that's not the argument. The argument is that the right of Namibians in a unitary state cannot be postponed to any imaginary date. They can also not be subjected to a principles of opportunity cost. That is my case.
Is there something you want to repeat, which you've just said and yesterday said?
I've answered your question.
I give you opportunity. You want to repeat?
I've answered your question. Okay. You told the court that somebody told you what you must ask me.
So what do you mean by, when I put those facts to you, you said true or not true? What do you mean? What must I accept from that? True or not true? So you say, it's what I understood, whether the facts I put or will be put to this court, true or not true, the court shouldn't pay attention to those facts.
Of course, I wouldn't say something like that. I'm trying to explain the fundamental flaws at the level of principle, not at the level of pockets and financial interest.
Why did you then use the words true or not true? Help me here.
Now I'm trying to explain to you.
Without repeating yourself, why did you use the word true or not true?
Answer?
Yes, I want you because you're not.
Can I answer? Okay. The point I'm trying to make is that the contention is not whether this figure is true or this figure is not true, whether this figure is correct or this figure is incorrect. The contention is at the level of principle. Is it fair? Is it just? Is it constitutional to have a government that cares for the few and humiliate the many, maintain colonial rules and instruments? That is the level of the. It's not the way. When I'm not saying the court must, whether this one is true or not, the court must. Obviously, I'm not in position to tell the court what to consider and what not to.
But
I'm
you're
trying
not
to
answering
explain.
my question.
I'm trying to explain that.
You're trying to explain, but you're not answering the question. You're repeating yourself. I'm asking, explain to the court, what do you mean if you say whether the fact I put to you is true or not? What role must the fact then play if it's true or not? What it means, according to you, I'll help you, is stuff the fact.
No.
That's what it means.
That's your version, unfortunately.
Now help me, what does it mean to say true or not true?
I'm trying to explain to you
Yes, you're
the
not
level
getting
of
it
argument,
right.
because you think the level of argument is whether, the debate is whether there was foot and mouth disease in the South between 1960 and 1961. I'm saying whether that is true or not true is not my case. Whether it's not true, let's assume for argument's sake that it's not true. My case won't change. Let's assume it's true. My case won't change.
Okay, so
that's what I'm trying to explain, that
Okay,
you are
so-
operating at that level of
Okay.
semantics and figures and numbers and what Europeans are saying.
Yes.
But I'm operating at the level of principles.
Yeah.
Constitutional principle, human rights principles.
So
while you're
it's-
operating at the level of 10 kgs of meat and beef.
Repeating yourself, and it's not helpful, and it's not getting stronger. So let me continue with the facts. Since 1965, Namibia has been free of FMD south of the fence. Is that fact? Do you know that or not, or doesn't it matter to you whether it's true or not?
Namibia is divided into 3 zones. The infected zone, infection zone, and the free zones, where the settlers stay.
Yes.
All the way from 1800 to today.
Yes.
Yeah? So the free zone, the free zone where there are apparently no foot, mouth, and disease and many others, is what has given, because of ticking the box of the World Organization of Animal Health, and then got this European and
Europeans, they don't know what they're talking about.
well, that's your version. Allow me to answer your question. So the free zone, that's what gives them those specific status. Because it's common cause. That's why they are given that characterization that they are free zone. The case here is
Common
that...
cause, sorry, let me just before you...
The case here...
You're going to repeat now what you've said.
Are you a prophet?
Yes,
You are
I
not.
am.
The case here...
Sorry, my lord, but I must also try and do my cross-examination in the way of trying to handle this. And he is repeating himself, and may I have, please, have just some leeway. I'm trying to do it my way.
Just ask a question. What I will do now, ask the questions. If the question is not answered, I'll direct the witness to answer
Thank
the
you,
question
my lord.
and not to debate.
Okay. Now, since 2021, an increased need, that's the other year, 2021, an increased needs for the fence arose since there was now found a O serotype of FMD which was introduced for the first time in Namibia. That is what the witnesses of all the defendants, and particular Mr. Boshoff and the Boshoff de Wit will say. Can you dispute that or not?
I can't dispute that. I've seen in the literature as I prepare for this case that Boshoff and Schledwein, our grandfathers then, have been part of during that period of 1921, because that was
I'm
the
at
period...
2021, not 1921. 2021.
Oh, I had 1921.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
say it
where you
again.
got stuck. I'm saying to you, since 2021, there's an increased need for the fence, since there's now established a new O serotype of FND, which was introduced into Namibia for the first time. And that O serotype is more serious since it's fatal to cattle. Do you know that?
Even government have admitted, because the version of what you're putting to me is that the need of the fence have now increased since 2021. Even government itself have indicated that there is a need to remove the fence. So it will be a contradiction. It will be very interesting to hear.
Well, I don't know what government says. Let me continue. Then, during 2020 in Namibia, there were 3 outbreaks of foot and mouth disease. 2 during August in the Caprivi. Do you know that or not?
I've heard, yes.
You've heard?
Yes.
But you don't care about that.
Well,
One during December.
That's your version.
Just hang on. One during December
Lord,
in the Oshikoto region. Do you know that or not?
I've heard that.
And in fact, Oshikoto region is home to the Omatia open market, there where you bought the meat.
Yes. And many other markets.
Oh. You bought the meat on 17 May 2021, which was within 5 months of that outbreak.
Yes.
So no one should have stopped you. You should have just been waved through.
That's a problem. That's a fundamental problem with the thinking. So you acknowledge that there's an outbreak, and you put an analogy that there is a possibility.
I've indicated that I am going to direct you to answer question, not to engage in debate. Answer the question.
My Lord, it wasn't a specific question. The person
No, the
asked.
question was very specific. You bought the meat 5 months after the outbreak of the foot and mouth in that area, and you want that meat to have just come through.
My Lord,
that was the question. You say there was no question.
He said, and you don't care.
Then you say, you answer, don't debate.
That's what I'm answering to.
Do you
don't
care? I care.
Just that.
I don't know.
So that's a fundamental problem.
Yes.
Because
Can I continue?
Yes, you will answer questions, Mr. Amupanda.
In June 2021, so let me just go back to the May and the outbreak after that period. There was an outbreak 5 months before you brought the meat over. You've admitted that. In June 2021, the very next month, there was an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in the northeast Zambia region. Do you know about that?
I've heard of outbreaks.
Yes.
Can't recall the specific dates.
So there were continuous outbreaks. And where did you buy the meat again?
You have said where I bought the meat.
I'm asking you.
Umthia.
Omathia. And that is right in the heart of where the outbreak occurred 5 months ago.
Not at the open market. My meat was not tested to see whether it has foot and mouth disease. And even if there was foot and mouth disease, it doesn't suspend my rights as a Namibian, and that's my case.
So you say, is your right as a Namibian that you can actually bring in over the fence infected meat?
That's not what I'm saying. My meat was never tested. They don't test anything at the red line to determine whether the meat is contaminated or not.
Well, that's
all I'm saying is that my right to dignity doesn't get suspended by an outbreak. My right not to be discriminated and anybody else doesn't get suspended because there's an outbreak.
Rights of dignity are not suspended. They can never. That's what the Constitution says. They can never be violated, and no one argues anything to the contrary.
That's why I'm saying, in a unitary state, the state has a responsibility, even towards me, that you think I've had contaminated meat. So in other words, eat contaminated meat for as long as you don't bring it into an area where the settlers live.
But look at what you ask this court, sir. Look at page 130, paragraph 4, for this court to give the following court order. Declaring, in paragraph 5, you say the court must order and direct and restrain. That is an interdict against government and or any of its officials from confiscating the red meat of the plaintiff. As long as that, forget about other Namibians, as long as that red meat is for private and own consumption. So you say, if you come with your Toyota and you stop at the veterinary cordon fence and there's someone there, even if you come right out of the heart of an FMD outbreak, you must just utter the words, it's for my own consumption. And then they will say, thank you, Mr. Amupanda, you may proceed.
First of all, there is no tools. They don't test whether this meat is contaminated or not. You go there, that's why I'm saying, let's do inspection in loco. You go there to Verde, you go to Mururani, you go to Oshivero. There will be no mechanism to determine that this meat is contaminated or not.
That's not.
I would, no.
That's not. You want to amend the spray?
No.
Oh, I see.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we come to court to vindicate rights. And when you are vindicating rights, you must obviously, to my understanding, you must identify those rights. You must identify how those rights are violated. And you must identify a remedy.
I want evidence from you, Tata Amupanda. The law that Ntinda can argue. What is the evidence that you are placing? The law, what you must do, that Ntinda can argue. What is the evidence?
My Lord, I'm being asked on paragraph 5. And paragraph 5 is with regards to an order, a specific order.
Yes. I'm asking you about that.
Yes.
So let's test it. Assume the court grants that order, okay? Assume, just hang on. Assume
The
the...
witness has finished answering that.
Has he finished asking the question?
No, the first question that
No,
he,
remember
before he because this is a new question.
Yes.
He was still addressing that first question, but he never finished answering.
Which question is that? Which question is that?
On order number 5,
I'm at order number 5.
that he was. The witness.
Remember, you must just appreciate one thing.
Yes.
Once I've interrupted the witness,
Yes.
and I interrupted the witness saying that Amupanda, please don't give me a lecture.
Yes,
Give me, the lecture must be done by Tata Ntinda.
that's correct.
What I want from you are the facts.
Yes.
That's when I interrupted him. So when I interrupted, and he said, okay.
Yes.
So then Advocate Mr. Heathcote then wanted to repeat the question and you stand up.
No,
That's
he
what I
didn't
didn't
want-
understand.
He didn't want to repeat. He was going to another question.
No, so if he has abandoned it in view of my intervention, it's his choice.
Okay. The only other concern, my lord, is that when Mr. Heathcote asks questions of legal, especially on orders, which can be argued by the parties, and the witness try to answer with reference to the law. Unfortunately, the witness must answer. It's just that my colleague, when especially say, maybe you ask on this act or that order, those becomes a legal questions that
Then
we
you
can
stand up.
address
Then you stand up and object that the question is a legal question, and I'll make a ruling.
as the court please.
Yes.
So I just want to illustrate to you, Mr. Amupanda, and I don't expect for a moment you're going to say, sorry, I will withdraw that. I will just illustrate to you that you shouldn't be unhappy if the court does not grant you prayer 5. Never. Look at prayer 5. It covers, you've got it in front of you. Let me read it. It says, and the court must order and restrain the government and any of its officials, which would include veterinary officials. You with me?
Yes.
And the court must tell all and sundry of the government, and they must be interdicted to confiscate your red meat. You see that? That's the order. And also any other Namibian, also mine and all those people here, their red meat. Yes. Okay, that's the interdict you want.
Yes.
And the only limitation to that order is that as long as it is meant for private and own consumption. So let's just test it. So I give, the court grants this order, and I have at my home, which is in Windhoek, I have meat which is FMD infected, and the agricultural people arrive. They say we're going to confiscate that. And I say, I want to eat it. Then the court has interdicted it.
The court have interdicted what?
Yes, if 5 is granted.
Okay. There is, I maintain again, at the red line, they don't test. It's not, you can't operate as if you are inviting me to accept that there is FMD meat that has been, but that's not the version. It's not tested. This is indiscriminate. Whether it's infected or not, we wouldn't know because there are no testing facilities there.
Now,
in the whole country, even when you are saying in your house, if you have meat that is eaten, how will you determine that the meat is infected?
It's tested.
Yes, it must be tested. In the current context, every meat from Kaoko to Caprivi to Zambezi, every meat that is there is infected. If we accept that preposition that is affected,
Who says
it means...
that?
Let me understand. I just want to... You say every meat.
Yes.
Let's just understand. When you say every meat, what is it that you mean? I just want to get clarity.
Because if you come with any meat at the red line, you will not pass with that meat. Why? It's because it's coming from FMD what they call
infected.
that. Can you
just give him an opportunity?
You are not going to bully me.
Okay, I've made a ruling.
Yeah.
I've made a ruling.
It won't happen.
Mr. Amupanda?
Yeah, Your Lordship, is that when you come with the meat, because you are coming from a protection zone and the so-called infested zone, automatically they don't need to test. They don't test. Every meat that appears there is automatically assumed to be infected.
Is it to be infected or assumed to be a conveyor of the disease?
Yes, because you can only convey something that is contained. Yes, so that the assumption is that they don't even test. But if the argument, that's why when we're talking about personal consumption, maybe I must just explain because that's the specific question. Yesterday I explained, at my village at Omarara in the morning, my grandmother slaughters a goat. And then we eat that
All
goat.
right, I have heard that yesterday.
Yes.
Can you move on?
My point to you is, as paragraph 5 is concerned, even if someone the meat on your order that you seek, government, and even if it is tested to be infected, that order will prevent government to take the meat. Because it's not ifs and buts, it's a blanket interdict from government doing their job.
You are assuming that the court is not competent. The court is competent. The court has always, as I understood, the court, if it finds in order to give, you don't always, when you come to court and you ask for a specific order, it doesn't always follow that the order will be granted in terms of those specific language. Right? As I said, there is no testing that takes place. If the court wants to indicate that there must be testing facilities, it is the prerogative of the court to be able to do that because it has understood. The point that has been made for private consumption is that I'm consuming that meat. You and your client don't care let's assume that I'm consuming the meat that is infected. You don't care about me and my grandmother and anybody else in my village who's eating that contaminated meat from an infected zone, for as long as you don't cross over with that infected. Let's assume for argument's sake it is infected. But why is this government in a unitary state allowing me to continue to consume it? You see where the complexity. So personal consumption in that context. So you are trying to problematize the order. We don't see anything wrong with the order.
I know you
and
don't
we have
see
seen
anything wrong
that
with it.
we have seen that the court doesn't just look at the writing. The court also look at the intention. What is it that the party is asking the court to do? Is it possible? You have practiced law, and I'm sure you have seen where people come with specific, and the court varies. You will come and say that you want this to be done in 3 months, and the court will say it will be done in 1 month, or it will be done in 6 months. Yes. So there's nothing with that prayer.
You've said yesterday that prayer was very carefully considered and scrutinized.
Absolutely.
I'm pointing to you that it's not so. I'm defending that prayer, not any other notional prayers. Are you suggesting that the government laws of confiscating meat and testing meat, and when FMD breaks out, are not applicable north of the veterinary cordon fence? In other words, government cannot confiscate meat at your house if it's infected.
Government doesn't, and government doesn't test.
What?
Oh, let me assist you. Let's go and do inspection in local. You will not find a testing facilities at any of those gates.
Well, you're not listening to my question. If you've got FMD meat in your house, you say government cannot come and confiscate it if it's tested and confirmed at your house.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, then I misunderstood. Okay, so the VCF, if the VCF, this is the defendant's case, but of course those are just facts which you wouldn't care about. But let me put it to you. If the VCF is removed, the markets of the EU, UK, US, Norway, China, on which farmers like the 6 and the 7 defendants and all other farmers south of the line will become inaccessible. That's the truth.
It is our case that you cannot discriminate against a majority of people and seek to impose that opportunity cost narrative on rights. I still maintain that. It may be annoying to hear, but I still maintain that the advantages and the opportunity cost, what they are going to lose, should not be elevated on top of the rights that people of Namibia have in a unitary state.
But do you agree at least that is, if you want to, in the long run or immediately, doesn't matter, remove that fence, it is something that must be carefully dealt with?
I don't agree. That's why I'm saying you cannot postpone the enjoyment of rights. That's a fundamental flaw in your case. You think that carefully consider, in the meantime, continue to be discriminated, continue to be humiliated, continue to be kept out, continue with the legacy of colonialism while we are carefully considering this. Your rights are being postponed.
So science may not play a role in this decision.
The point is that the rights cannot be postponed. The enjoyment of rights cannot be postponed. And it's a very dangerous invitation.
Said that.
It's a very, I'm just saying so that it can sink in.
Yes.
Yes, it's a dangerous invitation to court where business and economic concept are elevated over and above rights.
Yes.
You cannot.
But I'm also saying to you that the whole defendant's approach is a scientific one. But you say, stuff the science. I've got a right. You cannot, your science and so forth cannot limit my rights. That's your whole argument.
The world keeps changing all the time. There was no social media, there was digital media. Business people should not come to court and seek protection to trample over rights. Business people must innovate. You shouldn't have it. In fact, the part of the problem in our country is that other people are doing research. What is it that we are going to do? In 2013, there was a worst outbreak of foot and mouth disease in India. 60,000 cattle were affected, 6,000 of them died. India, until today, doesn't have a veterinary cordon fence. But it is still in the top 15 largest economies by GDP. So the very idea that let's just keep protecting is also not helping you and your client, because there ought to be, I know, for instance, there's a reliance on a young lady who just came from university who's saying 33,000 jobs are going to be lost. But what if there is going to be innovative veterinary scientists and many other people who could do something otherwise? The very lazy approach, let's just keep the line, let's just keep protecting. So it's a very, very, very weak. We should be able to, those conversations we can have as Namibians, but it must never be used. This business, capitalist and economic narrative of opportunity cost cannot trample over right. I'm not saying disregard.
Disregard what?
I'm not saying disregard whatever it is that...
No, you wanted to use the word science.
No.
What word you want
prophet?
to... Sit, my lord, I'm cross-examining the witness.
You cannot
let me,
interfere
you must
with
allow,
the witness.
You see what?
Yes.
When you, I don't, I've said I'm not presiding over a debating class.
Yes.
There are court rules and decorum. Even when you want to object, you just don't stand up and speak. You stand up, I notice you, and I tell your colleague to keep quiet. For you just to stand up and start speaking, it's not according to court decorum.
Equally, it's not court decorum, my lord, for my colleague to keep. The witness is answering. He's saying, you want to say this. The witness have not even said it amounts to harassment. I didn't want to be in that space, my lord. But my learned colleague asks a question and then throws in a side. It's all just designed to harass the witness under those circumstances, my lord.
Yes.
That's why
what I said, you have the right to protect your client.
Yes.
What I am saying is about the way you keep on doing it. You just stand up and start speaking. And that's what I'm saying. Please stop it. Stand up. I'll give you the opportunity, and I will direct. You have the fullest right. That's all I'm asking.
As the court pleases.
Yes.
I look further, and just maybe unless if my colleague is about to conclude, I see it's almost opportune to break. Maybe.
May I conclude with one question? Is it your case? I understand your case rather. For this decision you want the court to make, the court must ignore science.
No. Science says the removal of a veterinary cordon fence would increase agriculture contribution to GDP from 5.1% to 20%. Science, you think you interpret science to be laboratories?
Yes.
No. I'm a political scientist. I work in a knowledge environment.
I'm not talking political science. Let me then be specific. The science of FMD and how it breaks out and how it can be controlled, what measures must be taken into consideration, that's science.
You mean veterinary science?
Veterinary science. Do you say the court, in considering this case, must not take veterinary science into consideration?
Absolutely not, because the court would even have regard to the fact that India had the worst outbreak of FMD, but it doesn't have
Who has put that evidence before me?
Is it the understanding of the court that I must not say things that...
No, I'm going to repeat what, you see, I'm repeating. You are saying, I'm just trying to help you, right? You're saying I'll have regard to the fact that India had an outbreak where 60,000 cattle were infected with FMD. I'm asking, how do I have regard to that? Who has placed that evidence before me for me to take it into account? That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying what you must put, how you must put. I gave you the lead yesterday. I repeated that lead today. The lead and the testing question, it's the presentation of factual issues before me by a witness in the witness box.
Can I then conclude, thank you, my lord, before the adjournment? So, you accept that the court, in anything that it decides here, must take and should take veterinary science into consideration?
It is my understanding and my case that even science cannot trample over rights. There was a perspective that people who are HIV positive must be kept in certain areas. But people have a right to family even if they are HIV positive. So even if you have to argue on science, science cannot trample over rights of people.
That's an argument. I'm asking you, are you saying the court should take or not take veterinary science into consideration for the orders you seek?
I'm saying whether business or science or capitalist interest cannot override the fundamental rights of the people of Namibia. That's my case.
So veterinary science in this case is a factor which the court, you say it cannot override. It's not a factor which the court must ignore.
I never came to court to claim that the court must ignore this and that. I came to court and my case remained that you cannot use business fears, business loans, report of veterinary scientists who have farms themselves to trump over rights. But I can't tell court what to ignore. I mean, you know very well that I can't tell court what to ignore. But what I'm saying, it is not my understanding, it is my case that the court cannot use that opportunity cost principle to trample over rights and elevate those principles over the fundamental rights of the people of Namibia in a unitary state. That's my case.
I think it's become clear to me what you understand the right to be, and that is that it's totally unlimited. My Lord, may we
No,
adjourn?
that's not my vision.
Well, then we'll discuss after the break.
Okay, good.
Are you intending to proceed?
Yes, my Lord.
With cross-examination?
Yes.
How long?
Another half an hour, my Lord.
Then I would rather you continue, we finish, and
Good.
then we will take the break once we have finished it.
Thank you, my Lord.
Or are there senior citizens, because I'm also getting into
My
that.
Lord, I didn't want to disclose that, but I would prefer a
All right,
break.
no, if there is adjournment.
I'm talking on behalf of them, my Lord.
Yeah. All right.
I'm not part of them.
Yeah. All right. We will adjourn for 15, 20 minutes.
All right. Seated.
Yes, Mr. Heathcote.
My Lord, may I make a promise? I said half an hour or so. I will finish before 1.
And can I, after reflecting, just give us 2 minutes. Choose with it, and everything must be on the record. All right, we'll take an enforced break.
Vice. seated.
Yes, what I was saying is maybe if in the final stretch, if we can just contain, you ask a question, you allow him to finish, he answer. If he debates, I'll cut short. Let him, but allow the witness to answer the question.
I will, my lord.
Okay.
So the incident, Mr. Amupanda, you describe in your witness statement where they took the meat, did you actually on that day stand on a mat? If the court says government must break down the entire Veterinary Cordon Fence as indicated on that map or wherever you may think it is, what would be, according to you, the immediate effect on cattle or on the meat industry? If you can give us your view.
Well, my view is informed by the report.
I will not allow the question because I am not interested in Mr. Amupanda's view. He must place facts before me, so I will not allow the question.
Well, so the testimony will be that if that happens, then the Namibian market will not be permitted to export meat to the European market. What do you say about that?
Well, it's a hypothesis, speculation of what could happen in the future. And as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, the government commissioned a study to understand exactly what you are asking, and the answers have been provided, that our country stands to benefit economically, that there is an element in that report that speaks about national cohesion, which is a fundamental flaw in the argument of all the defendants who fails to see the human right perspective of this case, instead of what the Europeans are going to say.
Yes. Now, on that topic, it is quite important. I can't refer you to the page where that is said, but let's assume that it is said in the report, which you referred to. It obviously assumes the assumption, the supposition, the whole Namibia to become one meat market, assumes that the entire Namibia will be disease-free.
The report is so broad, it covers many aspects, and disease is just one of those specific aspects. It's very broad, and it has scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, and scenario D. And it depends on, if you are interested in narrow settlers' interest, that scenario would also be provided for in that report.
So there is a scenario which speaks about figures which assumes Namibia, the entire Namibia, is disease-free.
Yes, in Namibia without a veterinary cordon fence.
Yes, of course. In other words, if we remove the fence and Namibia is regarded by the World Organization of Animal Health as disease-free.
Even by ourselves.
Yes, even by ourselves, but by them. I want to refer you to a map which is at page, my lord, for your lordship, it is page 448 of the trial bundle. And I'm just going to, may I hand this to you? I'll give you the map. And I want to put it in perspective. Now the map which is at page, can I also hand to your lordship a copy? The map at page 448 is not the exact same map, but we will point out to his lordship when this witness, Anya Boshoff de Wit, come to testify that since he filed a witness statement, there was an updated map. And this is the one of January 2025. And you will see, do you see in this document, that will be her testimony. You see on top it refers to the WOA or the World Organization of Animal Health and its members and the official FND status map. You see that?
Yes.
And you see that was last updated in January 2025.
I see it's written there. I don't know how it was updated.
Yes, that's what she will testify. And you will see that there is a dark green on the left and a lighter green. This time, I hope I've got my colors correct. And the dark green reflects in the world members and zones recognized as free from FMD without vaccination. And then your light green is members and zones recognized as free from FMD with vaccination. Now, just look at Namibia, and you will see there the dark green and the divide up to the northern part above the veterinary cordon fence. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that is so on this world organization. That's how they deal with Namibia. But do you see Botswana to the right?
Yes.
And they have similarly a divide within the country. You see that?
I can't see that there's a divide.
But you know where Botswana is?
Yes, I can see Botswana.
Yes, and you can see the whole of Botswana is not dark green. It's similarly as Namibia.
There are some parts that are green and there are some parts that are not green.
Yes. And can you look at, for instance, you know, South America on the left? You see some of those countries are also divided. The borders, she will testify, are indicated by the lines. You see that?
Yes, I can see.
And can you see the red? It says suspension of FMD-free status. And you see right above Africa, in Europe, there's a red zone. That's Germany.
Yes.
And you see they've been suspended. And it's because of the outbreak recently, I think in January.
Berlin Wall.
The red portion in Europe, Germany.
No, I'm saying, were they suspended because of a Berlin Wall?
No, it's got nothing. The Berlin Wall came down in 1989. This is because of an outbreak of FMD. You can say, suits you well, Germany, but that is because of the organization of the world. Now, I put it to you that the testimony will be that Namibia is not unique. There are many other democratic countries in the world which are divided by zones. And these zones, Mr. Amupanda, are dealt with not on political science, but on the science by this World Organization of Animal Health. And the entire world is dealt with on the same basis.
Well, our people fought for independence. There were international bodies that were okay with apartheid. It is normal, it doesn't follow immediately that these international bodies are sacrosanct or whatever it is that they do. The United States, the first action of the new president was to withdraw from the WHO. Yeah? So it should not be projected to the court that what standards are put by this international organization have sensitivity to human rights, have sensitivity to history, it has sensitivity to their own interest. So it doesn't immediately follow that because some international organization, for all we know, they would have supported operation, because if I was a member state into part of those countries, I would have asked, but why do you have an instrument like that that discriminates? So my reaction to what you are putting to me is that it is not necessarily rocket science. It's not assumed that every country have a national interest. That is why on day one, the President of the United States of America withdrew from the WHO. I mean, the WHO is a wonderful organization that deals with health and many things, but they reach a determination that it's not in the interest of America. The fundamental question that we must answer, whether World Organization of Animal Health says this or says that, is it our interest? So it mustn't be put to our society that even if something is bad, for as long as it's recognized there, therefore it must be justified. That's why I'm saying, if it is so that we want to be disease-free, I've indicated in my particulars of claim that I'm also a farmer, farmer in communal land. It shouldn't be created that we are okay with animal disease. We also have indigenous methods of treating. It might be that in Omarala there's a method of treating foot and mouth disease. But if it's not recognized by WOHA, it might not look like it is something that is important. So the point is that it must be in the interest of the people of Namibia, not in the interest of some map that are updated on January 25 of WOHA. But at the same time, by submitting that, it shouldn't create an impression that we are saying we must somehow promote diseases. Nobody is reasoning like that. Okay. But as far as I'm concerned, my interest is the people of Namibia, is the constitution of the people of Namibia. It's not necessarily what some Europeans are saying. But that should not be taken to mean that it's a reckless standpoint of saying we are ignoring.
So I'm not going to deal with President Trump and his executive orders, but it is so that even I'm understood from the witness statements, and I'm given to understand that if it's necessary, they will also testify that, and bodies like the government, they do support the objective to include farmers north of the VCF in Namibia, but they support it to the extent that they will become part of a foot and mouth disease-free zone. And that is the long-term goal. Now, do you agree with that? That's what they say?
I don't agree with the very notion and idea that we must be included. We cannot be included in anything. We are Namibians, for goodness sake. No, we are in a unitary state.
Yes.
So it's a wrong view that we must be included on condition that you must be included when there's no that debate shouldn't follow in a constitutional democracy. We ought to be united, all of us. I must come from Amarala to your farm and ask you for advice on vaccination and vice versa, and I give you traditional medicine for your cattle also. The idea of being included, like we agree to include. To include means you are not, you don't belong there. You are on invitation. Include. Yes. We must only have one livestock sector. We must have one national head. And you not on invitation of whether the politician or, that's why we are at court, because we don't see the court as playing games of when can we include what. It's either to assert the right. It's either the court is with us or not with us.
Yes. And the point I want to make is that you come to court and say, we've got the rights, I've got the right. I'm not sure which one you rely on, but assume the general right.
It's on particulars of claim.
Yes, I know you say that. You say the court must break this fence down.
No.
Give permission for order the fence to be broken down. That's what you ask.
So that, you don't just come to court and say, court, break down. No.
That's what
it's a very simplistic, description to it. Let's assume that somebody does not understand this case.
I indicated that I'll guide, and I'm guiding. The question is, do you want the court to make an order to instruct the breakdown of the cordonary fence?
The order that we seek is on page 136, number 6 in particular. It uses this language. An order directing and compelling the first and second defendant to immediately or within a period of 90 days to remove Yeah. So you're using the word breakdown to fit this narrative of. That's why you're using
Right, you've answered the
bulldozers.
question. Next question.
The remove, yeah, okay. So,
Next question.
thank you, my lord. So, the point is, and all the evidence, if required, will indicate that the immediate removal or within 90 days will be entirely counterproductive for Namibia.
So not necessarily. There are even case laws that are inspiring that this court has dealt with. We have seen people who have come to court to vindicate their rights and to problematize instrument. For example, if I refer you to the State versus Raymond Heathcote, is a 2013 case.
Are you arguing law?
No, I'm.
Are you going to refer to my drunken driving case?
I've asked a question, Mr. Heathcote. I've asked a question. Are you rescinding law?
I hope it's not you, because then
Right. I'm sure Taten Tinda is more than capable to deal with the legal issues.
Okay, man.
If you want me to say that
No,
in public,
Mr. Heathcote, I made a ruling.
thank you, my lord. What is it that you want to say?
No, move on with your question. I've made a ruling. He can't go back to that.
My lord. Now, let me put this on record. I was once.
No. It's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. It's irrelevant. It's not part of this. Move on. Ask the next question.
Thank you, my lord. I'm not afraid of my past. Your
No,
lordship,
no.
your lordship has said.
Where you are standing with one duty, to cross-examine. Exercise and execute that duty.
Like your lordship, I take responsibility.
Yes.
Yes. So, the entire, I've put to you the counterproductive and calamitous. That is what the evidence will be of the defendants. Because if that fence is removed, the buffaloes in the northern part of Namibia will freely come into the southern part.
So the buffaloes must stay there.
Yes, because don't you know that buffalo is probably the carrier of foot and mouth disease?
And that's, again, it goes to the fundamental flaw of your case. I don't promote diseases. I would sit at the table with you or anybody else to discuss what is it that we must do, even with the buffaloes. But our case is to say, even your fear and your client's fears and the regime fears of the buffaloes should not trample the rights of people, should not postpone the enjoyment of rights. That's our case. So even the response to the buffaloes, we should all be concerned about that. But must we continue for 125 years to trample over the rights of people and postpone the enjoyment of rights and factor in this opportunity cost business argument and elevate that on top of rights? That is not a constitutional democracy. That cannot fly in a unitary state.
Do you accept that if the fence is removed, that buffalo can freely come down? That the animals in the north who's in touch with the buffaloes can freely move if there's no fence to the south?
So,
do you accept that as a physical fact, reality?
So I don't know the movement fellows. I wish I could speak to them and understand how they move. But it is a possibility that they can move to the north, they can move to Zambia, they can move to Zimbabwe. The animals move all the time.
And do you know that cattle is also one of the carriers of foot and mouth disease?
Yes, and human beings apparently. But apparently if you are quarantined for some days, you can
Well, you've
somehow.
just made a foe, sir. I'm asking you, do you know that buffalo is one of the, buffalo and cattle are one of the, those are really important carriers which we must look out for of foot and mouth disease?
Yes, but it mustn't trample on rights of Namibians in a unitary state.
Exactly. Lastly, on that score, the VCF is serving, and you know this, an essential function in the has got an essential function in the control of foot and mouth disease in Namibia.
When the police zone was established, the white regime argued that the police zone served a particular purpose. You can.
The question is,
Yes.
it's not about the police zone. The question is about the veterinary cordon fence serves the purpose of controlling animal diseases.
It serves the purpose of controlling animal disease for the benefit of the few at the expense of the majority of Namibians.
When you, on that day, they confiscated your meat, were there other cars?
There are always other cars because you are blocked.
Everyone is blocked.
No, they say, when you, that's why I was saying, let's go there and check. You'll be able to see. So when you are coming at Toshivelo, there will be, you come and you drive. You have to go to, if you're coming from Amarala, you have to go to your right. And then there's the huge, my English is not good as yours. There's a Tara. There's a huge, am I allowed to ask answer? There is a huge building, I'm not sure whether it's correct, where the cars must then pass. So you'll find there will be police officers, a huge canopy. Are you sure, my lord?
Well, I don't know.
Okay. So maybe we must do inspection in locals to see. So you have to get out, and then there will be police officers, and there will be these chief watchers of the red line. So you are in the queue. If a person who's in front of you, sometimes they will just say pass. It is not necessarily that at every 10, everyone will be stopped. Sometimes they will just say pass, pass. Depends if a person is maybe hungry, so you go. Sometimes I go, they don't stop me. Yeah, sometimes they stop me. So there are definitely many cars.
But they don't say black people stop, white people stop, Chinese people stop. Everybody must stop. Or everybody can go depending on the...
If you go to my particulars of claim, it uses the word predominant.
The question is, does it stop everybody or does it stop selected people?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, my lord, is that I've dealt with that in my particulars of claim.
You have not been asked what you dealt with in your...
I'm asking you.
Yes, Mr. Aitko, let me finish with him.
Thank you. Sorry, my lord.
The question is, we know what you dealt with in your head, but cross-examination is a specific question and that's a question that needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
I'm asking you. I know what you said in your particulars of claim. They don't discriminate on color. They treat everyone the same.
Everyone who's coming
from the north.
Can I finish?
You made a faux, sir. You made a faux. I'm asking you.
His lordship asked us to abide.
Okay. So I've indicated...
You and your lawyers.
Mr. Heathcote.
Oh, only me and my lawyer.
Yes. I'm guiding everybody, and so respect my rulings. Yes, Mr. Heathcote, ask the question and proceed. You can proceed.
Thank you. So, people from the south are not stopped going to the north.
Yes.
Whether they're white or black or any color.
Yes.
People from the north are sometimes stopped, sometimes not stopped.
Yes.
And there is no color discrimination.
No.
If you turn, my lord, may I then mark the map which I've provisionally, may that be marked exhibit, sorry, can I say?
You said, has it been discovered?
Yes, yes, my lord. No, this one is not discovered, but there is one discovered. This is just one updated in January because that is after we filed the witness statements. one that is discovered is on page 448 of the trial bundle, and it's also discussed in the witness's statement. No, you can laugh, my friend.
Yes, Tadentinda?
To be consistent with the practice and ruling of the court, this map can be submitted if that witness is called to come testify. Even if it's mentioned in the witness statement as correctly indicated by the court that it's not evidence until that witness testify. So if that witness is not called to testify, we have a document that no one has testified on.
It's a document on which a witness has been cross-examined. If the document is not in a court that's dealing with appeals, as an example, what document is it going to look at?
Yeah, but my
no, what I'm saying.
Yes.
You see, you are saying I must not allow the document in.
Yes.
It's a document on which a witness has been cross-examined. There are questions with respect to that document, and this is a court of record.
Mm-hmm.
So that document must be in the record and be referred to for the purposes of whoever deals with a record. When you cross-reference a question, you cross-reference them to a document.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just, my Lord, submitting to be in consistency with the ruling of this court.
No.
Documents cannot be admitted just because they are discovered.
Tinda.
Yes.
You see, one must apply. One, you know for a fact, you were one of. It appears I failed very thoroughly in my duties as a teacher. Let me understand. Let me explain. As a teacher, I always explained that law is about logic. Law is about logic, and one of the logical questions is simply, you just don't follow precedent. Just because I've made a ruling, and remember in the ruling that I made, I said, a witness testifies to a document. He identifies the document, and then the document is admitted. Mr. Heathcote just didn't stand up, ask the map to be admitted. He identified the map. He placed it before Mr. Amupanda. He asked Mr. Amupanda questions on the map. Now I'm asking you, if you say I must not allow it, how does the record then become complete without that document?
What I'm saying is that once it's admitted, it's evidence, my Lord.
What I'm saying, please understand me.
Unless it's a provisional admission,
let me ask you.
It cannot be.
I want you to answer this question.
Yes.
I want to answer the question.
Yes.
If you say I must not have it admitted, will the record be complete?
It does not matter about whether the record is complete or incomplete, my Lord. All I'm saying is this document, once it's admitted,
what do you mean?
Evidence.
No. Let's take it step by step. Before you say I interrupt you before you finish.
Yes.
Let's take it step by step.
Yes, my Lord.
You are saying it does not matter whether the record is complete or not complete.
No.
What does that mean?
That is not the rule applicable to admission of documents into evidence. So it's not that the documents must be admitted so that the record can be complete. The documents must be, once it's admitted, it's evidence.
What does that mean? Which rule says so?
Even on the...
No, which rule says so?
Says what, my Lord?
That a document, just simply because it's admitted, it's evidence of what it says.
It's evidence because what...
Which rule says so?
It's not only a rule, it's a practice, it's an authority that once...
Refer me to that authority, because the rules are clear. A document, the veracity and the truthness of the document still needs to be proved by the person. A document can be admitted into evidence without admitting the truth of what is stated in that document.
Yes.
That's a law. And this is what I'm saying. This is a court of record. Now, on record, a document was used. How do I say that document cannot go into the record?
My Lord, my submission is already just based on the...
No, I'm asking you a logical question. And what I'm saying to you...
My learned colleague is just disturbing. I'm unable to listen.
Okay.
Let me
just assure you, the fact that the document is admitted
yes,
is not that truth of what is in that document is taken as evidence. I am saying to you, yes, I am admitting the document for the purposes of the completeness of the record. Simple as that.
As the court pleases, my Lord.
So by this document then be marked Exhibit D, my Lord. D for
Daniel.
Yes, my Lord. And then similarly, the map behind Mr. Amupanda's Exhibit E.
So do we have a small, because if I take that map, how will that map be uploaded on e-justice?
Well, we will present smaller maps when the witnesses come, my Lord. But
no, yeah, okay, but what you are asking me to, you see, the document that I'm admitting, I'll mark.
Yes.
And this is what I'm asking. Will that map be able to be marked, or is there another A4?
There will be A4s, my Lord. That can also be F.
Your junior maybe has an answer.
We will have an A3 which will be scanned.
Okay.
But just for, so that A3 will be the same, but just mark E then.
No, that will then be D.
No, E.
Yes, that was the map, that was the document that was. You see, because
sorry, yes,
remember
sorry,
the record, when a person asks and you go to the record.
I'm with you, I apologize.
Yes, that map will then be Exhibit D.
And this one E.
And the one of the WOW members will be Exhibit E.
So,
Yes,
apologies, my Lord. What do we name Exhibit D?
It's a map. It's a map that is referred to in the 1911.
Yes, the map is the 1911, but it's referred to in the proclamation of 1911.
Yes, the map referred to in the 1911 proclamation.
Sorry, proclamation. My Lord, sorry. The proclamation is 1919. It refers to the 1911 map, which is that map.
Okay. The proclamation is 1990.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a map referred to in the 1919 proclamation with respect to the Animal Diseases and Control Act.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So, let me conclude what I will submit to the court, what you and your brave lawyer did. When you went there that day with your meat, and your meat was taken, you knew that you may not take meat out.
Firstly, I didn't go with my lawyer there. I was alone, and you would see in the witness statements that I have read that are on record, they describe, those two officials, they describe exactly what has happened. What is it that they said and the type of question that I asked them, because I wanted to have an idea. Of course, I know that there's a red line, but you may be aware of something, but when it comes at that moment, that's when it reckons on you that you have to deal with that matter. So I invite you to, if you want to have an understanding and appreciation of what has happened.
Can you answer the question? Did you know or did you not know?
I was aware that it's a veterinary cordon fence. It dawned on me then on that day.
No, the question is, did you know that you were not allowed to take out meat, not whether there was a veterinary cordon. The question is very specific. Did you know that you were not allowed to take meat over the veterinary cordon fence?
I didn't have an idea as I eventually...
Did you know?
I didn't know then.
Oh, yes.
You didn't know what? What did you not know? That you may not take out meat
Take out where?
from the north to the south.
I didn't have an idea.
You didn't have an idea.
No, Mr. Heathcote, did you know? An idea and knowledge are two separate issues. Did you know that you could not take meat from north of the veterinary cordon fence over to south of the? Did you know?
I didn't know.
You didn't know.
Yes.
So that was the first day that you learned that people may not bring meat from north to south.
Yes.
That was the very first day that you've learned about that fact.
That is the very first day I came to a realization there. That's why I'm referring you to those witness statements of those, my interaction with those veterinary officials.
You knew, I put to you, and you are now deliberately misleading this court. You knew on that day that you may not bring, according to the laws of this country, meat from north to south. You knew it and you persisted in your conduct.
I didn't persist you. Those are your own words. I'm referring you again. If you want to understand factually what transpired.
Okay, you have answered the question. You didn't know. All what being close to you is that your question is being disputed. It's for me to see how I'll resolve that.
And I will argue to this court that that is just one example of how deliberately misleading you are. You are misleading the court as we speak to indicate after all these years and all this testimony that on that day you didn't know that you may not bring meat from north to south. I put it to you that it is an untruth.
You can argue as instructed by your client. If you are inviting my comment, you can argue and argue in whatever method of manner that you want. I can't tell you how to argue. For instance, your client.
All right, just dispute, don't make speeches.
And a few months before that, there was, as you testified and you knew about that, there was an outbreak of this disease that we are discussing here in where you buy the meat, where you bought the meat.
I didn't testify that I knew there was. I indicated to I did indeed hear about outbreaks.
Yes. And do you know on that day when you arrived there whether there was already a declaration, or did you hear that the disease was over, or was it still continuing according to your mindset?
According to my mindset. Okay, interesting. When I went there, that is why the testimonies that I'm referring to you to, those are
What's the answer to Amupanda?
He's asking about my mindset.
Yes.
That's why I'm trying to explain, my lord, your mindset. He's not asking yes or no. Or
Tell me what your mindset was.
Yes.
When you drove with your car and, well, the meat was in your car, in your mind, was the disease, the outbreak over or not?
That's why I'm saying that when I came there, I couldn't finish. When I came there, I was not having concern or discussion about the outbreak. That is why in those testimonies, in those specific testimonies, are we together?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. So in those testimonies, they are testifying to the fact that I was asking.
Who's testifying?
Mr. I have it.
No, Mr. If you are talking about somebody else, they are not before me yet.
The documents are...
No, you see, this is what... Remember what I said to you. Witness statements, until they are read into the record, they cannot be used.
Oh, I can't... Okay, I understood when you...
Yeah,
I thought you were saying...
You see, no,
I can't read them.
what you can place to court is what you engage them with. That you can testify to. What it is that I asked this person this, I asked this person this question.
So I asked those officials, why are you taking my meat? In terms of what instruments? That is why they went to give me that paper. They're saying they didn't have a photocopy paper and things. There was a huge interaction between them, between those officials and myself. So that's why I asked for them to produce a paper for me, which paper has been handed over to court, because I wanted to understand in terms of what law are they doing what they are doing.
So you didn't answer my question. How difficult is it to understand that you are a learned man? You are in your car, you with me? In your car is meat, and you're on your way to the Veterinary Cordon Fence, and you're coming from north to south. Are you with me?
Yes.
You have a mind.
Yes.
What is your mind set? Is the outbreak of the foot and mouth disease which we discussed, is it over or not over?
That's not my mindset. That's not my engagement. I bought meat, as I said, for my family. And as I came there, my meat has not been confirmed to have, it was just burned. It doesn't immediately follow, to my mind, since you're asking my mind, it doesn't immediately follow that immediately when there's an announcement of an outbreak, and every meat and everything that comes from that particular area is automatically infected. Since you're asking about my mind, my mindset is that it doesn't immediately follow. It didn't immediately occur that meat is infected meat, because they are also not testing facilities, as I've indicated already.
I'm not talking about the meat. In paragraph 27, you say on the base, 27.1 of your witness statement, so of your particulars of claim, you said the plaintiff is continuously required to declare any animal product in the form of meat or milk and or any other animal products. In your particulars of claim, paragraph 27, page 11 of the trial bundle, or court bundle if you wish. Can I read it to you?
No, I need to follow what you are reading.
Yes, now get it, please.
Pleadings, eh?
Get it, please.
So paragraph 27.1. I'm there.
It says, in your first, this remained the same from your first particulars of claim, which was issued, was it a day or 2 days after the incident, your particulars of claim?
Well, those are my...
Your brave lawyer will tell us. Let's look when your first particulars of claim was issued. You can read to the court in the meantime that paragraph 27.1.
The plaintiff is continuously required to declare any animal product in the form of meat, milk, and or other minimal animal products. This does not happen to the plaintiff when he is traveling from south of Veterinary Cordon Fence to the north of the Veterinary Cordon Fence.
When is the incident? When did it happen? Look in your witness statement.
Which incident?
The incident when they took your meat.
21 May. Is it 17th May? I need to...
21 May. Have you gone back since the 21st of May to the north? Or did you remain to see your lawyer or whatever?
Say the question again.
Your summons was issued on the 26th of May, 5 days after the incident.
Yes.
In that period, from the 21st, you were on your way south.
Yes.
To Windhoek.
Yes.
You saw your lawyer.
Yes.
You issued the summons.
Yes.
You went mad on social media, praising your lawyer.
Going mad.
You went out on social media.
Getting mad. The idea is you think that you insult me so that I can get angry. It won't happen. Because getting mad is a medical determination.
Yes. Okay, I withdraw that. You went out on social media telling everyone that you've now issued the summons and about your brave lawyer. You read it to us.
Yes, that's what has happened, but it's not mad.
in the period since you came down to the south, saw your lawyer, gave the instructions, did you go back in that 5 days to the north?
Not in 5 days, but I've gone back. That is 2021. So I make it a point to go back home because in this area we are only here for employment purposes.
Now,
so I live there. So I make it a point. So I go frequently. Yes.
Yes.
If that's
Now,
the question.
If you,
Sorry, let me understand the testimony.
well, my lord,
Sorry, what is it that you are testifying, Amupanda? You are saying what?
He is asking,
Yes.
as I understood, after the incident, when I came to Windhoek, did I go back?
To the north.
Yes.
Yes.
Then I'm explaining that I'm only here for employment purposes, so I make it a point.
When you say I'm only here and I go back home, what is it that you are saying? That's what I want to understand. So, Windhoek is not your home.
It's a place of work.
It's not your home.
I live a home, and there's, from my upbringing, there's a difference between home and a house. So here I'm employed and I live with...
I'm asking you. You're saying you are only here for work. That's what I want to understand. So this is not your home. It's just your work. That's all I want to understand.
Okay. We have a house in here. And while I'm employed, I reside in Windhoek, yes. But home is not Windhoek. That's what I mean.
so did you get to your lawyer, was it a Sunday or when you were stopped?
Obviously, I will have to go to the
Okay,
calendar.
that's fine, we can check. Did you go to your brave lawyer the immediate day or the day after that?
I can't recall, but I went to my
Mr.
lawyer.
Scott, on reflection, is there any way where Mr. Amupanda is saying brave lawyer?
Yes, yes.
And I haven't read that.
In fact, that is part of the email that he read, or the WhatsApp that he read, my lord. It's in his
I've
witness
read,
statement.
I've read fearless and not brave.
Oh, okay. Sorry, then I've confused the word.
Yes,
Your fearless lawyer.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. The fearless lawyer.
Yes.
That's perhaps not the same as brave.
No.
Anyway, let's continue.
He's fearless because, like how when you insulted him yesterday, he stood up that you shouldn't do it. That's
Yes.
what I mean.
So
That is fearless.
You gave him instructions immediately after the event.
Yes.
What does the word continuously in paragraph 27 then mean? The one that you've just read to us.
Continuously.
Yes.
The context to how I understand it, what the message,
You don't have to bother if my junior speaks to me. You can continue. You speak to the judge, not to me.
Okay.
What I'm asking you, what is the word? The plaintiff is continuously stopped. What does continuous mean?
It means it's not in one incident, repeated incident.
Yes. But yet you want to tell us, so that repeated incidences which you are referring to must have taken place before the 21st.
You have asked whether I've ever stepped. That's why I was insisting about inspection in locus. You have asked me before whether I stepped on a mat when I came. That's why I tried to explain to you that it's not always where those incidences happen.
I'm pointing out to the court through this cross-examination that you couldn't care less about your oath or telling the court the truth. Let me read to you a further paragraph, in paragraph 27. On the basis, that's your particulars of claim, on the basis of the existence of the Veterinary Cordon Fence red line, and during the period 2005,
Where are you reading?
paragraph 27 of his particulars of claim, that's by 10.
The main paragraph.
Yes.
Okay.
On the basis of the existence of the fence, and during the period of 2005, that is very, very long ago, to date, and upon the frequent travelling of the plaintiff from his home village, the plaintiff was subject and continues to be subjected to degrading and inhuman treatment by officials. You see that?
Yes.
And you want to tell us, this court today, that on that day when you drove from north to south, your mindset couldn't think that you may be stopped again and that they may take your meat? Who do you think we are?
I think you are Raymond Heathcote.
But do you think I cannot think rational? I'm saying to you,
I'm not a doctor.
Mr. Heathcote, I indicated to you, cross-examine the witness on what he thinks is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
I put it to you that it is an utter untruth you're telling under oath to this court, that on that day you did not deliberately go out there knowing that they're going to take your meat, and you wanted it because you wanted to start this case.
It was for the first time I carried meat over. It doesn't mean that I've never ever come to the red line and having been stopped and asked to step on the mat.
I see.
Yes, so the incident particularly refers to that aspect of meat.
I'm done. The argument, and I would like you to respond to this, I would argue to the court on this kind of evidence, this irrationality, that you, Mr. Amupanda, and your fearless lawyer are in fact, or you rather, you are a danger to this Namibian society with your quest to remove the red line, and just for politics.
You and your client and everybody who's defending settlers' interest, wanting the continuity of colonialism, your client has been in existence since 1981, not a single office on the other side of the red line, because the interest is a settlers' area. You are the danger. You are the danger to our country. You are the danger to the unitarist character of our country. You are a danger to our democracy. It's rather you that we must be fearful of as a people,
you
wanting continuity.
Me or my client?
Both.
And you, sir, you, I put to you.
I don't want this to degenerate to that level.
Yes.
Put the questions to the witness.
I will argue to the court that your entire basis is simply politics and gaining votes, or hopefully gaining votes.
Well, if I want to gain votes, I'm a political scientist and I'm a political activist. I don't need this case to gain votes. I'm coming to court to vindicate rights. I would have mobilized people to physically remove it if that was the idea. But I decided not to do that because we are in a constitutional democracy. The purpose of the court is to resolve dispute. That's why I'm coming here. Whether you regard it as politics, I'm coming here to vindicate rights. But it's funny and interesting, Advocate Heathcote. The court has dealt with this matter. You argued that same argument with regards to protective cost. You argued over and over again that no, this matter is trying to score political point. Both this court and the Supreme Court argued and made the determination against that very argument. First, this court indicated clearly that whatever it is that...
All right, I know what I wrote.
Yes. So the Supreme Court...
Okay, I know what I wrote. Yeah.
But the problem...
Can we...
I'll conclude.
Yeah, can you conclude?
There is not... The Supreme Court and this court didn't hear your evidence until this week, or this court.
There is a judgment of the Supreme Court as far as this...
The High Court didn't...
Can I say I'm not going to allow questions on my judgments
Yes.
to be discussed in court?
Thank you, my lord. And I put it to you that I will submit to the court, you may answer and you will disagree, that your argument, apart from this utter untruth you were telling just now, is the most irrational argument on the removal of a scientific fence that is ever served in this court. Why don't you, sir, ask the court to break down Tintin Palace, where all the racist legislation was made? Why don't we break it down?
Because that's a fundamental flaw, again, in your understanding of what the case is about. The case is about the real lived realities of our people, not me. 1,000, everybody that is kept out of that 1,250 kilometers, their experience, if you are from Zambezi region and you have mangoes, you are not allowed to come with your mangoes. You are not allowed to cross with your milk. It's not just meat. So the idea that this is politics, it is so unfortunate. But then again, it's for the court to determine, and the court has already determined that. You can regurgitate that same argument over and over again. It doesn't change the reality that we are here to vindicate rights. These are lived experiences of the masses of our people. 60% of the population has been discriminated. It's something that is historical and continues that. And we will argue this case until its logical conclusion. And one day, and I hope you are still alive, to see the 1896 red line removed.
The fence. Why do you blame a fence? Why don't you blame people? A fence is a thing without a mind, like a building.
The Minister of Agriculture indicated that it's a tool, right? I've indicated to you that different purposes have been imposed on a tool. Like you can put different purposes, for example, on a breathalyzer. You can use the breathalyzer to do A, B, C, D. It's a tool, right? So when you go to court and challenge the use of a breathalyzer, can a person argue and say, why are you challenging a breathalyzer? You must challenge a breathalyzer because the breathalyzer is a tool that was used to say that a person A or person B is drunk. This is the volume of it. The red line, similarly, is used as a tool to stop people from moving, and that's a tool. So these courts have made adjudication and determination on tools, and breathalyzer is just one of the examples. The red line will follow the same fate. We are inspired by those who challenged the breathalyzer that calculated the alcohol and won, and this court vindicated their rights. It's an inspiration. And this red line will have the same fate, just like the breathalyzer.
I pity you. I've got no further questions.
Thank you very much.
My Lord,
I didn't realize.
Yes.
It's 125.
I have just indication from my learned colleague if they are ready to proceed with the cross-examination.
Shouldn't you, do you want to re-examine after everybody else?
Yes, my Lord.
You don't want to re-examine now?
No, my Lord, it will be after everyone is done that I will re-examine.
Sure, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's the
All right.
All the defendants first cross-examine, and then there's re-examination. I don't know.
Okay.
And if I may ask, if your lordship is about to adjourn it, we make it 2:30.
Yeah, I'll make it 2:30. I'm a senior citizen.
I just want to get it. I missed who is next in cross-examination because there was an indication. It seems that it's the 6, 7, 8. Just to get.
The 6th, 7th, and the 7th and 8th defendants and 6. Advocate Pelser, somehow his work permit has been approved but not issued. And we must proceed. He may join us later. If he's not in time, depending on what happens this afternoon, we can't stop the court. Although if it's 10 minutes or so in the afternoon, we may ask your lordship, because it seems that he may be here tomorrow. But for the time being, we must continue.
So after this, it will be Advocate Stein.
Yes.
All right. That Amupanda, you know, they say repetition is not a good thing, but at times it's proper. So I'm going to repeat my admonition, but today I'm not going to give that prelude. I'm just going to warn you that you may not speak to any person on this matter, including to your children, your legal practitioner, your spouse, and your followers. Court to rise.
Right.